to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay, solo again this week. I'm here to review the entire first season of Fox's The Gifted, which is a sort of offshoot of the Fox X-Men universe. This was just season 1. It's 13 episodes. It is now completed. So here's our review. I was not super blown away. I'm not super blown away by the modern X-Men movies. I enjoyed, X-Men 1 and 2, just like pretty much everybody, but I feel like they've slowly gone into decline. This series sort of at least promised the idea of an X-Men TV show or a TV show based in the X-Men universe that was going to dig a little deeper, I guess, into the mythos and try to give you a new perspective that you haven't gotten in the movies, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, okay. I have to say the things I liked about it. I like the sort of ancillary mutants that are in the story, Polaris and sort of the other mutants a part of this Mutant Underground. I wish the show was more focused on them than it is on this family, led by Stephen Moyer and Amy Acker as the father and mother, and their two kids, Sean Teal and Natalie Lynn. While I think the family is okay, it's sort of them on the run because they find out the two kids are mutants in the very first episode, and they're on the run from Sentinel Services, which is supposed to be the overarching bad guys in this, right? So to keep the budgets low, they deal with more of like the human element and not sort of the fantastical giant 20-foot sentinels or 60-foot sentinels or whatever they are, right? So I liked the family okay. As the series went on, I enjoyed them a lot more than I did in the beginning. However, the sort of secondary story has always been these other mutants, more established mutants in the comic universe that as they team up with this family trying to protect them and what have you. They should have just made the show about those mutants because they're far more interesting than these two made-up kids and their parents. The movie or the show feels like a series of fetch quests every week. Oh, we have to get here and get this thing or get this bit of information, and then here comes Sentinel Services, and they chase us. We might get the thing, and then we run away again, and they proceed with their chase. And it's that for 13 episodes. There's a couple of high points of like, I won't spoil it, but there are a couple of characters that get introduced that from X-Men lore, which is kind of cool. Like, you're like, oh, all right, I didn't see that coming. Like, that was kind of nice. Overall, I didn't really enjoy it all that much. I think it's kind of boring, and it has a blandness that the movies have become that is just, to me, uninteresting. I mean, look, I'm sure there are people who dig it, but each episode is 45 minutes or so, and the first 35 minutes, nothing really happens. They're sort of trying to progress the story, but it's in such a bland way, in my opinion. And the last 10 minutes is where the action is. And it's that formula every single episode. There's no moment of like, oh, okay, you never know what's going to happen in this, this sequence or whatever. No, I know what's going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. And then you get 10 minutes of semi-decent action. And then it's like, all right, cool. Like, that's one thing. I need them to kind of spread around in the season. I understand, like, you don't have the massive budgets to do, crazy stunts and stuff like that. I'm not asking for that. But it's so formulaic throughout the entire season. They never break from that. The acting is fine. Again, the family is okay. I think Stephen Moyer and Amy Acker are being a little melodramatic. I feel like they're taking the roles a little too far. Maybe Stephen Moyer isn't doing his best True Blood impression necessarily, but it seems a little high. And the show has this weird way of kind of making it about the parents even more than the kids a lot of times, which, again, it's a mutant show. Make it about the mutants. I don't really get that. But the other actors who are playing part of the Mutant Underground, they're far more compelling. And again, I wish the show was about them. To me, I would have rather this show have been the Morlocks and just had it be about that. and just not about any non-mutant characters. Maybe you had some as like really side ancillary characters, but certainly not the focus, be on the exact opposite of what the show is. So all in all, The Gifted is fine. It's not amazing. It's not breaking any new ground. It feels like a Bryan Singer movie to me, which, I mean, frankly, I think he's just nothing more than a really glorified TV director anyway. But it's nothing more than that. If you're a super hardcore X-Men fan, I think you're probably going to love it just because it's X-Men and you've never had an X-Men live action TV show of this caliber. If you are not super impressed by Fox's take on the X-Men, soon to not be theirs, by the way, but if you're not super impressed by that, I don't think there's much here to watch. It just got renewed for a second season. I'm not so sure I'm going to even bother with the second season because I just, frankly, just wasn't all that impressed with what I saw in these first 13 episodes. But I did give it a chance, try to, really see what they wanted to present. And frankly, it's just not that interesting. It's kind of boring. So I did a review of The Runaways recently, where there's another TV level superhero show, which I think was far better. And I think the acting and the stories were far more interesting. So check out that review. But for The Gifted, if I have to give a star score out of 5, it's a 2.5. It's fine. It's just fine. So that's it for me. Make sure you check out Coming Distractions wherever you get podcasts. You can also check out the other shows in the TMP Studios network, the Nerdpocalypse. You can go to youtube.com/the Nerdpocalypse, watch videos for these, as well as check out our other clips from our weekly show. And you can check out the Nerdpocalypse podcast on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts as well. And we'll see you guys next time.